Let's set this shot up. All right, YouTube, Facebook. Well, no.
You do anything there?
Yeah, accidentally hit that mouse. And get YouTube set up. There you go. All right. Black Eva, did you say you was on YouTube and Facebook? Well, you couldn't be because I just went live. So, Black
Have a
Eva.
blessed day. Amen.
Yeah, maybe.
You still got some minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Did you say you was on YouTube and Facebook yet?
Give me a minute.
Okay. So what did you think about all our shots?
All right, I see you on YouTube
Hey.
and Facebook.
Hey. All right. So we got 2 YouTube, Facebook, and we got 2 recordings. All right, we got you.
How's that sign look, Edie?
Black Evie,
Yeah.
he asked you a question.
Huh?
How does the sign look?
The sign?
The getting to know sign. Come on now.
Sign.
Let's just go Dave in here.
The sign behind us.
On the door. You see it every day when you at it.
I'm looking at it. I'm trying to. I'm looking. I'm looking.
Because if it ain't right, Disco Dave gonna have something to say about it.
It's fine. It's
Okay.
fine.
Because he will come back because he ain't coming today. Be like, last week the sign was off. He the only one who can do that shit. There's not nobody else try that. I hate this pop-up shit over here. But it don't stop the live. She got one. I can't bring it closer. Okay, she got 1 minute. She gonna kill you up when she done. She should turn around and let you know it's good. Hey, you ready? Okay. I was going live like you do.
WAIF Cincinnati 88.3 FM. WAIF is your community radio station. We serve only to open our airways to responsible, divergent points of view. Opinions expressed on Getting to Know do not reflect those of WAIF staff, board of trustees, or other programmers. The opinions are my own views, those of my guests, callers, and co-hosts. Hello, Cincinnati and beyond in your time zone, coming to you live. I am your co-host, J-Mac, along with co-host Black Evie, and the host with the most, Mitri. Thanks for joining us on Getting to Know radio show, powered by the Joy Air Foundation, providing information for adopting and overcoming adversity. Let's take the time to free our minds and get in the know. Mitri, let's go.
Wow, Black Evie, you hear all of that vibrant energy in that intro today. Black Evie.
Yep, I did.
You did. You
I
look.
liked it.
Okay, so let's talk about some things. Let's have a team meeting right here, live on air right now. Unc came with it. J-Mac came with it. He was on it. You a little lagging today. We'd be like, Black Evie, you there? You there? Call her. You there?
I'm here.
What's going on?
I try to be quiet because you say I'm always loud. So I put, I try to be quiet. I put quiet factors in play.
Yeah. You quiet. It's no gray. Look, it's black and white with you. There is no middle ground, no gray area.
Your guillotine.
The guillotine queen.
That's your head.
Yeah, dropping boulders over here to my left. All right, that's just a little bit of just before we start the show. We like to talk messy sometimes and let y'all know what goes on the live show. You can't go back and correct, so you just stuck with whatever you do. So today's topic, once again, before I get to that, let me welcome you again to the Get to Know Talk Show. Airs live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. WAIF 88.3 FM. Your station that is divergent, meaning we have been in the community for over 50 years, giving you a variety of programs over the radio. I'm going to give some shout outs later. I just want to say that then. But I'm going to go ahead on and jump into this topic, break it up with some shout outs in the middle, come back to the topic again, because this one is deep and we're going to, what they say, peel back the layers of the onions. So today's topic is Juneteenth versus Independence. So Juneteenth Day versus Independence Day. So I'm going to read you a statement, give you a little factoid, and I'm going to pass the mic to Black Evie. She's going to drop some boulders on you about how that ties into being in Cincinnati. And of course, J Mac, he's going to come back around and lay it out how it ties into the military, Army, because he's from the Army, so he tends to lean with how things come from the Army. So without further ado, let's get in there. Juneteenth Day versus Independence Day statement. Independence Day, July the 4th, commemorates American separation from Great Britain in 1776. Juneteenth, which is June and 19th combined together, commemorates the end of slavery in the United States, marking the day in 1865 when enslaved African Americans in Galveston, Texas, finally received word of their emancipation. More than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. First established in America as a holiday, a federal holiday, in 2021. Look at how much time that took. Juneteenth remains as a fluid holiday representing an ongoing quest for true equality and civil rights. Now I'm going to give you some core differences. And y'all get ready, because we are peeling back onion layers that may make you cry. So some core differences. The milestone, Independence Day, celebrates the birth of a sovereign nation and the ideals of liberty. Juneteenth celebrates the realization liberty for all people, explicitly marking the end of chattel slavery. Now, I'm going to come back to that chattel slavery in a minute. Who was free? When the Declaration of Independence was signed in 1776, the ideals of freedom did not apply to enslaved Black Americans. So it took almost another, about 100 years for that to even be. So Juneteenth represents the moment, those foundational promises of freedoms were extended to Black Americans. And y'all keep in mind, what's really changed? I'll come back to that. So a historical timeline. Independence Day is July the 4th, 1776. So this year on Saturday, it makes America's 250th birthday, anniversary, whatever you want to call it. The Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence 250 years ago, July the 4th, 1776. Juneteenth, June 19th, 1865. Union troops arrived in Galveston, Texas to enforce the Emancipation Proclamation and free the last remaining enslaved people in the Confederate States. Now, before I tap out and pass it to Black Evie, remember I told you I was going to go back to chattel slavery. And I don't know if it's chattel or chattel, but it's Chattel. I had never heard it phrased like this. And I'm going to read what that really meant. Because the word was dropped off and we just started calling it slavery. We got lazy with our tongue. But when I read what it really means when it was being enforced and when we were slaves, let me read what that means. Chattel slavery is a brutal system of human bondage in which one person has total ownership of another person's personal property. That means their body, their mind, their soul. They don't control it. Enslaved individuals could be bought, sold, inherited, and exploited for labor for a whole lifetime, all their life, with their children automatically born into the same permanent servitude. For I pass this mic, people on death row get treated better than slaves do. And again, I ask you, what has changed 250 years later? I'm going to be back to that part. Black Evie, you're up.
Yes. Okay. I am here. I'm here for it today.
Okay?
And what I'm going to do now, let me tell you first, because Mitri was not aware of this, and she said that I was going to be, connecting the dots with July 4th and Cincinnati, the origin, tracing, whatever. In my research, I had to switch that up, Mitri.
Okay. You know how we is. We
So I'm
say
not even coming from that angle. I'm coming from the compare and contrast angle
okay.
between the 4th of July and Juneteenth. And you hit on quite a few mile markers of between the two holidays. So I'm going to sound a little repetitive, but I'm going to go deeper. I'm a dog walking.
I think we
All
need
right.
to do it like this because we really need to impact people's minds about how deep this runs. So I'm glad it ended up like this. I'm sorry I had to interrupt you, but I had to give you a high five on that one. Lay it out for me,
Okay.
my sister. Yes.
All right. So we're going to start with the origins. Of course, as Mitri said, 4th of July, 1776. It marks when colonies broke from the British rule, the birth of the United States. The origins of Juneteenth, 1865. Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, and enforced the emancipation for 250,000 enslaved people 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. Right? You hit on that. What this means. 4th of July means freedom from colonial rule, political independence, ideals of liberty and self-governance, though it was not applied equally to all. Of course, enslaved Africans, indigenous people, women, other people of color.
Mm-hmm.
For Juneteenth, freedom meant it was within the nation. It was freedom within the nation, the end of chattel slavery. I'm just going to say it chattel. That's how I'm going to say it. Like cattle for the age,
Okay.
Chattel.
And go for that.
And the liberation of Black Americans. This was the beginning of a long fight for civil rights. And just a little bit of clarity. Well, you gave real good clarity on chattel slavery. And to your point, Mitri, I never heard of it until this research.
Mm-hmm.
So Mitri gave the definition of chattel slavery, and it is a difference. It's a form of slavery. So slavery is just a broad umbrella term for the ownership and forced control of a person by another. So that could be in many ways. Chattel slavery describes the brutality of that level of slavery. Okay, and who was actually free for the 4th of July? Enslaved Africans fought in the Revolutionary War, hoping for freedom, promised freedom, but most remained enslaved after independence, after the war was won. Slaves. For Juneteenth, who was actually freed, marks the moment enslaved people in Texas finally received and could act on the news of their freedom. So enslaved people were free in 1863. However, it was not widespread through the nation until 2 years later, as Mitri noted before, till 1865. The cultural traditions between the two. For the 4th of July, you get fireworks, parades, patriotic displays, cookouts, national pride. It's deeply embedded in American identity, the 4th of July is. For Juneteenth, you get parades, music, cultural performances, education, red foods symbolizing resilience, symbolizing resilience, community gatherings, and Black-owned business support. What is the symbolism between the two? For the 4th of July, it means liberty, independence, national unity. For Juneteenth, it is liberation, resilience, remembrance, and the ongoing struggle for equality. All right, now we get into the federal holidays. I'm gonna give me a few minutes, Mitri. Just give me a few minutes. I'm going somewhere. Okay.
All right, me and J Mac.
Federal holidays.
Now I was gonna say me and J
Fourth
Mac
of
on the
July.
line.
I'm sorry. 4th of July has been marked a federal holiday since 1870. That was 94 years after the actual victory, after Independence Day. For Juneteenth, as Mitri stated before, it became a federal holiday in 2021. That holiday, it took 156 years for Juneteenth to be recognized as a federal holiday versus 94 years for the 4th of July. So all in all, Juneteenth took 62 years longer than the 4th to become nationally recognized. And I'm spitting numbers for a reason. The gap, the freedom gap. 4th of July celebrates the ideals that were not extended to everyone. Juneteenth celebrates the moment those ideals finally reached enslaved Black Americans, all of them. The visibility and cultural power for 4th of July. It dominates American culture, education, media, and tradition. For Juneteenth, despite its significance, it has historically been overshadowed, with the emotional tones for 4th of July being patriotic, celebratory, and unified. With Juneteenth, it's reflective, celebratory, but rooted in trauma, survival, and liberation. All right, now, this is what I want everybody to think about. Mitri, J-Mac, I want y'all to think about this. I'm about to break some stuff down real quick. Of course, this is some historical distance. This is some metrics that I'm about to drop to everybody. And of course, in 1776, the nation got political independence. It was not extended to Black people, slaves. In 1865, the nation got human emancipation. All humans in the nation were free. This took nearly 89 years to separate the two freedoms between the 4th of July and the Juneteenth. That's 89 years to separate them. The Emancipation Proclamation was announced in 1863. At that point, Black people had been enslaved for 344 years. They started bringing Black people to America in 1519. So for centuries, we had been enslaved until the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. After that, Black people still fought for freedom for almost 100 more years. Mitri mentioned that. 100 more years, we still had to fight to really be free. And then that happened in the Civil Rights Act in 1964. So the totality of true enslavement, since they started bringing slaves to America from 1519 to 1964, was 446 years. That is 4+ centuries of enslavement of a people. So when we break all that down and we put in the Civil Rights Act signed in 1964, Black people have been free for a total of 57 years versus centuries
Mm-hmm.
that white people have just been. And when we talk about that, we're going to talk about the gap when I come back. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving me the time. I had to get into that.
My sister, you opening up the Pandora's box. I got so many notes on that, but before I get to my notes, I gotta let him, J Mac, drop some boulders, cause wow,
Y'all can keep on as far as I'm concerned. I'm learning something myself as far as the numbers are concerned.
for real.
That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Black Evie, for that insight. You really worked on this one, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna let you have that.
You are very welcome.
Okay, being I do the vet part, I'm going to hit on a few subjects that Black Evie did. I'm going to take it a step further too myself. And being that the title of the show is Juneteenth versus Independence Day and the U.S. Army, I'm going to tie this together, okay? While Independence Day marks the Declaration of Independence and the birth of a nation, Juneteenth is National Independence Day. It's got the national part. Commemorates the emancipation of enslaved Americans, African Americans. The U.S. Army played a critical role in the Juneteenth story, actively enforcing emancipation in Texas. Both are now official U.S. federal holidays. Okay, now here's where the Army comes in for me. The Army, the United States Army, is actually older than the United States itself. It was established before the United States was established. The United States Army was founded on July the 14th, 1970. 1775. I always want to put that 19. Yeah, June 14th, 1775, when the Second Continental Congress authorized the creation of the Continental Army to coordinate the military efforts of the 13 colonies against Great Britain. So they had an army. It was AKA the militia. It was called the Militia Army. All right. The Army traces its origins directly to this Pacific Resolution, making it older than the United States itself. Because again, as I said, it was formed before the United States became the United States. It evolved from regional militia traditions into a unified professional military force. So maybe that's a little tidbit that nobody knew, that the Army is actually the oldest military department in the United States history. I just had to put that in. Go Army.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, the Army's role in Juneteenth in enforcing freedom, Juneteenth directly resulted from military action after the Civil War. Union Army Major General Granger and his troops arrived in Galveston to enforce the Emancipation Proclamation, General Order Number 3. General Granger assumed command of Texas and read General Order Number 3, which declared that all enslaved people were completely free and absolute equality would exist between former masters and enslaved people regarding personal and property rights. Now back to what Black Evie said. It took 2 years after this actually went into effect before Texas even honored this particular law that was stated. Okay, and also a little tidbit for you. General Granger actually had ties to Ohio.
Look at
Okay.
that. We always.
So he had ties to Ohio.
That's
He's
what's up.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So and he also was a member of the military, the army during the Mexican War, and that's where he came up through ranks until he became a general during the Civil War, and he took over United States Colored Troops, USCT. Okay, so the observance and impact is, a complementary pair. U.S. Army views these two holidays as complementary to each other. While July 4th represents the founding promise that all men are created equal, Juneteenth represents the grueling, hard-fought realization of those democratic ideas for all Americans. And when it says that all men are created equal, what had happened was the United States Army had to actually come in to make sure that them rights and that they had the same rights as the white people. Okay, so we might as well just keep it real in color. I'm not trying to be, politically correct on this.
The facts are the facts.
So Operation Military Observers, both days are recognized as paid federal holidays for the Army's civilian workforce, providing active duty, military, and with designated time for observers, education, rest, and ceremonies to honor both the end of slavery and the contributions of Black service members. So, shout out to the U.S. colored troops that fought back then and everything. And it's interesting when we was looking at how these two, the Independence Day and National Independence Day, Independence Day being the 4th of July, and National Independence Day being Juneteenth, and the similarities in what the military do as far as on post. They do the flag ceremony, they have the flybys, most of the military is off except for its essential personnel. Everybody, and it's appreciated in the same manner. However, as it was said, it took us a long, long time for us to be recognized as a free people. And it comes back to the point of what I said before. We should start celebrating National Independence Day, aka Juneteenth, just like they do Independence Day, because our independence came at a very high cost to a lot of Black soldiers, and there was other ethnic groups of people that fought with us that didn't believe in slavery and enslaving people and making them feel inferior and whatever and stuff like that. Because when Black Evie was talking about this stuff, it brought back a lot of stuff that, how could people actually have picnics and do what they did and watch other people suffer so much, and they would have a Sunday picnic like it was a festivity. And I would like for our people to actually wake up and just see how hard that we fought for this, and don't take it for granted the blood, sweat, and tears that a lot of our elders put in for us just to reach the point where it took us till 2021 to even get acknowledged that we did help liberate, build, keep this country running. And we need to respect ourselves and show a little bit more grace towards ourselves and start being a little bit more aware of what's going on around us. Because if you look at today and the time, they are trying to sneak it back in. I'm telling you, keep your head on the swivel, watch what's going around, for this entity we got now, they are not playing with us. And if we put our guards down, it's going to get ugly again. So let's join this army, and let's make the 4th of July another Independence Day for us as Black people. We need to get it together, y'all. My name is J Mac, and I approve that message. Back to you, Michi.
Thank you, J Mac, for dropping them boulders about the Army's presence in our freedom as Black Americans. We are transparent here on this show, getting to know. So sometimes we have to say Black and white people because it's simple. I don't go without them politically correct words because we're black or we white. We tagged ourselves like that, so we just gonna keep it going like that. Actually, we didn't do it; other people did. But I got so much to speak to.
Here's the thing, Mitri.
Mhm.
We always want to take the high road and say, oh no, it's not a black and white thing, this and that. Yes, it is because they made it that way. And I say that because when I get into it, when I come back, they made it that way. It is embedded, it is ingrained in the nation. It is that way.
And it is. It is, and I'm not necessarily supporting the way it's been implemented because I'm open to all people. But on this show, we are SETI motivated, socially economic disadvantaged individuals. And like Black Evie just said, that's makeup of people for SETIs is majority ethnic people, black people. So we got to deal with what's there. We're not here to infuse like dismay and division of people or whatever. We're here to unite and actually bring this up to the forefront, lay it down in front of everybody, and be transparent about what's going on so we can make equality and change. It is, ooh, okay, so let me give, I have so many notes, y'all. I'm so excited because this is like past due talk. So I'm going to just start with this. Black Evie said that she went like kind of went the little bit down the little line that I went. But when I was thinking and I was listening to you with all of those numbers, and you said, truthfully, we only been free for 57 years. That means I'm 1 year shy of how long we've been free. And you were speaking some volume there. Because in the 1970s, when I went to elementary school, we still attended a segregated elementary school in 1970s, right? In our school, we had 2 white people. That was it. I'm not going to name their names, but somewhere towards the end of the Vietnam War, that was like 73, 74. I started in preschool like 74. Then they started trying to integrate the schools like in 75, 76 to bring more like education to the impoverished neighborhoods. So as part of that, I was able to take French in the metric system and learn more stuff. And then they imported, I hate to say that word, but they imported a lot of Vietnamese into the city of Cincinnati. And we started pen paling them first. I remember my first pen pal was Dar Ben. But it's shocking that I'm 50, about to be 56 years old. And for real, we ain't been free but 1 year longer than what I'm living. But once again, go back to what J Mac say. They about, what's changed? Trump, and I hate to bring him in this, he imported Africans. Okay? He imported like 56 Africans. I think that was the number. So that's ironic in itself. Maybe it was the number because he wanted to be 56, 57. It all adds up. I'm a numbers person. And that's despicable. Because slavery really didn't end, and he's really trying to revamp it. Now, I got a lot more to say about that. But right now, Black Evie, what time is it?
The Veterans Crisis Line connects veterans in crisis and their family and friends with qualified current Department of Veterans Affairs responders through a confidential toll-free hotline, online chat, or text. Veterans and their loved ones can call 800-273-8255 and press 1. Chat online or send a text message to 838255 to receive confidential support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Or you can dial direct 988. Since its launch in 2007, the Veterans Crisis Line has answered more than 1.6 million calls and made more than 45,000 life-saving rescues. That's the Veterans Crisis Line at 800-273-8255, or you can call direct, dial 988. This has been a PSA message from WAIF 88.3 FM, Cincinnati. Back to you, Mitchell.
Y'all heard it. As a vet myself, that's a valuable resource, and I will transparently admit that I have had to use that over the years, and I may have to use it again coming up in the recent um, future. So don't be ashamed because there's something out there for everybody to get help. Thank you, J Mac, for sharing that PSA. Now I'm gonna dive back into this topic today. Getting to know. Today we are talking about Juneteenth Day versus Independence Day, and I left off with talking about how Trump is basically going back 250 years or more, really, to 1500 to try to get slavery enacted again by importing people from Africa to come over here and work. An amazing thing about what he did, he imported a group of white people. And I really know, I feel bad for that group of people because it just seems like he was trying to humiliate them. To me, they were humiliated because I've heard so many stories how that turned out, and they should have just stayed where they belong, where they were. But I do say this, at least we know now. I'm a little confused because I was listening to both Black Evie and J Mac. We know Trump specifically is trying to import slaves, but we always say they imported slaves. They. And then I'm listening to all of y'all numbers, and all of this goes back to like before America was America, and Great Britain had us in, the colony thing, the 7 colonies or whatever.
13.
13. I'm wrong. I'm thinking about the 7 and the 6 on the flag. That does make 13. Yep. Thank you, J Mac. So the 13 colonies, right? So really, it dawned on me. So it was Great Britain importing slaves to America because they was trying to make America theirs too. And America always wants to act like it's the superpower of the world, but really Great Britain really got us tied up in a knot still to this day because we still refer to those as the British colonies. We still have references and identity within that. We haven't even pulled away from that. So they came over here and took the land from the Aboriginals, and I know that Aboriginal is a term that is usually used with Australians, but I feel like Aboriginals should be a term that's used as Aboriginal people of the land, because at some point we're going to have to cover Mexican Indians and how they are the original inhabitants of this land. But it's amazing to me to know that the U.S. Army itself is older than America, and they were so instrumental in making these changes. So what I wanted to ask J Mac, if he knew or if he could research real quick, who actually was in the Army
During the Revolutionary, it was basically white folks. It was the people that had came from Europe, the 13 colonies. They was fighting for what was called during that time taxation without representation. Okay, so what was going on was, I think his name was King Henry the Third, if I'm not mistaken. I might be off on it. I think it is though. He was putting the taxes on them, just like the United States is putting the taxes on us. Poor folks, you might as well say, because see, we the ones pay tax. Rich folks don't pay tax. So anyway, what had happened was they got tired of, they even have to give money back to this country that wasn't putting anything into the country that they was in, or the place that they was in, which was the 13 colonies. It was like taking from the poor and giving to the rich, okay? And you wasn't getting nothing in return. So basically it was Caucasian people that had actually fought that first, the Revolutionary War. We called it the Rebellion War, because they was rebelling against Europe for taxation. And then we came along after that when it became the Civil War, because the states had actually been separated before this. There was a southern United States and a northern United States. A lot of people don't realize that, but if you think about, there was also two presidents of this country. You know, one was he was from Virginia. I'll look it up, but it was actually two presidents. It was a northern president and a southern president. This was before the Civil War. Then after the Civil War, that's when the United States became a whole. It's a lot of history and how this happened, and we can't even get it all in this hour. But that's a good question, and like I said, it started from they wanting to be free from taxation. All the Civil War started from black people wanting to be free from, you know, the tyranny and the horrible way we was treated, even to get here. I mean, even to travel here, the way they had us on boats. And, I mean, they had us like sardines in there.
The disease and all of that.
And I mean, the way they did it, it was like hacking. Oh, you know what? It was ugly. And half of them people even made it over here, like you said, from disease. And they was basically starving them before they got here because they was on a boat and they didn't have the provisions to feed that many people. So they fed themselves, of course, because they're going to stay alive. So it was unimaginable what they went through to even get over here.
It's freaking amazing how little of this has really changed. It just looks a little shinier, glossed over, and everything, you know. Remember, we're really only 57 years into freedom, and that's questionable within itself. So, like Black Evie said, to her point, and to J Mac's point about celebrating these days, I'm going to say this, and then we're going to get back into another point that I had so we can go another roundtable discussion and wrap it up. But when you celebrating the 4th of July and you out there barbecuing, spending all this money on some ribs, that's Black Evie over there being noisy. Okay, I was trying to talk over it, y'all. I really was, but you had to say something.
I'm tripping because I'm like, what am I doing over here?
Sometimes you need a little break in the show because I was about to dig in, you know what. All right, I'll start that segment again. You all right, Black Evie?
I'm just fine. I'm sorry.
See?
I'm trying to be quiet. Okay, go.
Look, you gotta edit this show, so you'll see. Okay. We needed a light moment, so you brought me back down some octaves. Oh my gosh. When you in a live show, you get what you get. Okay. But for your editing purposes, I'll state it over so it'll be easy for you to cut. So now I want to comment to Black Evie and J Mac's point about celebrating the actual holidays of Independence and Juneteenth. And we have celebrated Independence Day all of my life. You know, and I'm not saying me particularly. I have celebrated a lot of them, don't get me wrong. I went to a lot of fireworks shows, and actually the one that they do down on the Cincinnati River, Ohio River in Cincinnati, rather, is a great one because they overwater and they can just go ham with it and not worry about blowing up stuff around them. And if you get the peak view in Eden Park, it's amazing. You know, we on the map, Cincinnati, Ohio, for a lot of things that people don't know. And that's what Getting to Know is trying to bring y'all in more so y'all can appreciate where y'all live and pour back into it. But I would say this, and then we're going to jump back into the topic. About celebrating Independence Day and or Juneteenth. Think about the things that we're sharing today on the show. Think about what it took to even get to Juneteenth, Day of Independence for Black people, versus the Day of Independence for the whole country, and how it reflected in white and Black people's life in today's world. Let's be real. Because I'm trying to bring unity in the community and understanding. And that takes knowledge and being informed to make informed choices. I urge you, I challenge you that when you celebrate either one of these days, that you do it with meaning. You do it with intent on learning and growing. Because see, you gotta know your history so your future don't be no mystery. Don't go in uninformed. Do something with meaning, learn a new something, research to something, have a little factoid board, It's your celebration. You can do it up in the Juneteenth colors if it's Juneteenth, or if it's Independence Day, do it up in red, white, and blue. But be informed and understand these days and try to bring in more unity in your own community and understanding within your own household. Because we celebrate Independence Day alone, blind. We think that's fireworks, barbecue, weed, beer, and a party in the park as black people. So I'm just gonna keep that real. Yeah, because I'm black too, and I'm engaged in all of that at some point in my life. But then I had to grow up and become mature and learn. Even as a U.S. Navy vet, I should have been doing better and understanding what was going on. And I'm ashamed of myself not knowing as much as I should have known about Juneteenth and spreading the word now. So I vow to you all who are my loyal listeners and viewers that I'm going to bring more knowledge about both of these holidays and how we can make it a real free world for all and become informed. And please join me in your festivities and Juneteenth and Independence Day and offering some knowledge and education when you're celebrating. Go ahead and do your barbecue and all that stuff that I named and do it safely and everything. Ain't nothing wrong with what I named because all those things are legal to do. It's legal to drink beer. It's legal to smoke weed. It's legal to barbecue in the park and have fun and play music. But put you up a little tripod or a vision board or pull out your device and read tell everybody at your party, hey, bring your facts to the table before we play spades and dominoes. And let's talk some facts about Juneteenth and Independence Day and how we can bring more knowledge and to deflect all the negativity of Trump trying to get us back to those days. That's all I'm saying right there. Now, let me go to my cue card and read my info. And I'm going to pass the mic to Black Evie and then go back around to J-Mac, and we're going to wrap it up and discuss some things. So right now, this one's a little short one. It's kind of reiterating what was said before. And I kind of wanted to be redundant in this show because there's a lot of information I didn't know. And I know it's a lot of people out here that didn't know it either. So I'm going to go with this like this. This statement is Juneteenth versus Independence Day equality. Juneteenth and Independence Day represent two distinct chapters in the American story of freedom, marking different groups' paths to equality. While July the 4th celebrates political independence from Britain in 1776, Juneteenth marks the delayed emancipation of enslaved African Americans in 1865. Core differences in historical context. Independence Day, July 4th, celebrates the adoption of the Declaration of Independence. While it is enshrined in the revolutionary ideal that all men are created equal, this promise of liberty applied only to a select few in 1776, as indigenous populations were marginalized and the system of race-based chattel slavery remained fully intact. Juneteenth, June the 19th, 89 years later in 1865, when Union troops arrived in Galveston, Texas, to announce that the Civil War had ended and that the over 250,000 enslaved Black Americans in the state were finally free. This occurred more than 2 years after President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Visiting museums, reading Black literature, and attending historical lectures is a way to get more information about this. So the evolution, and I'm going to end on this one, the evolution of equality, conditional versus universal freedom. July 4th marks collective national sovereignty, but Juneteenth honors individual liberation for those who were expressly denied humanity at the nation's founding, the beginning of the nation. Now here's a journey in progress. Y'all think about this. Historians and civil rights advocates often highlight the period from Juneteenth to the 4th of July as a time to reflect on America's founding ideals alongside alongside its historical failures. Observing both holidays allow for a more honest, critical patriotism that acknowledges both the nation's democratic triumphs and its long ongoing struggle for systemic equality. I'm going to drop the mic. It's on you, Blackie.
All right. America celebrates two freedom holidays. One that marks the nation's independence and one that marks the people's emancipation. These things, everything that I talked about in the first part of the show, I need to bring them back. I need for everybody to remember everything. And know that all that information leads to a contradiction between American ideals and lived reality. It points to how Black Americans participated in both fights, all fights in America for freedom, but we still fight to this day for freedom. In reference to Juneteenth, it had to come on the rise to be recognized as a federal holiday and be counted as culturally important for the nation. And now I feel like white people are in the seat that we've been sitting in for all this time. They got a national holiday. It represents the whole thing about freedom, but it has nothing to do with them. So they're like, what? What's going on? Well, we've been sitting like that for a long time, for centuries. We've been sitting like that. Yeah, Independence Day, that's great, but what's going on? Because at the end of the day, we weren't even included. However, we were used as pawns in the game. So we have to figure out, or we don't even have to figure out because they do both already coexist. And they're not erasing each other right now. But will it come to a time where one erases the other? And I don't think that Juneteenth will be getting erased. But now let's talk about the gap. The gap. Those numbers that I gave before. You remember those numbers, J. Mac and Mitri?
Yes, I do. 57 years, 1964. Later, yeah, I got it all written down.
Okay. So I just wanted to, and I have no notes. This is all from the heart. I just wanted to talk about that for a minute in reference to the gap in the Black community and how we are looked and frowned down upon because we just can't seem to get with it, catch up, get to where everybody else is, understand certain things. Well, I think that I broke it down. We about 450 years behind the scope here. True freedom, 57 years in. We are behind the 8 ball, behind the curve, whatever they call it. We are behind. And that is why we operate the way we do. The trauma, the fight, from the moment that we are born. Just because you're born Black in America, that's an instant fight. We fought other people's wars. We have to fight our own wars. All these things equal to us fighting for our freedom, our true freedom still. So when we're sitting back and we're thinking about why we as a people are not doing, or not going, cannot get, I just gave you the answer. It's powers in numbers. It's power in numbers. True power in numbers. We were enslaved for 446 years. Only been free for 57. Power in numbers. But I'll tell you how we get ahead. Education. And don't let nobody get in the way of your educational journey. Go out here and get educated. We just had two shows where we highlighted all kinds of free educational resources. One for the entire state of Ohio. So, Black people, get educated, apply your knowledge, and grow so that we can be better as a people. When you know better, you do better.
Hello.
So all this information is just for that, for knowing better to do better. Black Evie, the end.
J Mac, it's on you, but I want to make a comment to what she said first. Um, if you are part of, don't be part of the problem, be a part of the solution. And do not be your own barrier. Information, knowledge is priceless, information is key. Like Black Evie said, and maybe we need to start getting our Martin Luther King back on in a peaceful way and learn how to cohabitate in this USA peacefully and grow. I don't want to say too much because I want J Mac to get out his way because we at 13:52, 152. So J Mac, you do what you do, and then we'll wrap it up.
I mean, it's a good topic, and it's not a topic you can cram into 1 hour. So I'm gonna get what I can in. I enjoyed what I heard. I'm sitting up here going, "Wow, when you know." And again, I'm gonna pick it back off of both of you. Education, educate yourself, get the knowledge. For example, I'm gonna give you a little bit of knowledge about the Civil War, and it's ironic that everything that we get into as Black people, we turn the tides. We make, if you're losing and we jump in it with you, it goes in your favor. So that being said, Black regiments in the American Civil War. Now this is the Civil War. Now that Black Evie was talking about freedom. Okay. So the Black regiments in the American Civil War organized as the United States Colored Troops. We said that before, the abbreviation USCT. So if you see that, that's what it means. Okay. Provided vital, and it proved vital to the Union's victory. Nearly 180,000 Black men served. The most famous unit is the 54th Massachusetts Infantry. That's the movie that was Glory, where Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman played in. That was the first official Northern Black regiment. Now, there was also a Southern regiment, too, that a lot of people didn't know about, and it was the Kansas City Colored Infantry and Louisiana Native Guard. Now, the one thing that a lot of people didn't know about the 54th Massachusetts Infantry was that they had one of the bloodiest battles to turn the tide from the Confederates actually winning at that time to the Union, getting a stronghold. You know, they had a fight at Fort Wagner, July 1863. All of this comes into play around the time of Juneteenth. Okay, so you look at 1863, and then you also look at the other combinations of time periods that Black Evie put together. Okay, now Sergeant William Carney, he was a part of the 54th. Okay, a soldier in the 54th Massachusetts who suffered severe wounds but successfully prevented the Union flag. Now listen to what I just said. The Union flag from touching the ground during the assault on Fort Wagner. He later became the first African American awarded the Medal of Honor. Okay? See, they don't tell you them type of things about Black folks in the military. He was the first, amongst many now, the first African American awarded the Medal of Honor. Now, here's the kicker. Back then, Black soldiers could not become ranked people. They couldn't be lieutenants, captains, colonels, generals, right? The highest rank that a Black it was an officer, it was not NCO, that's non-commissioned officer, was a sergeant major. He became a sergeant major, and during them times, you know, it's still segregated. He could not advance any further. And his commanding officer, saying that, honored him by giving him the highest rank that he could possibly give this man. And unfortunately, him and thousands of others died during this particular battle, but it turned the tide on the Civil War. Okay, and then there was also the Carter. That was fought in July 1864. The USCT suffered heavy casualties during the siege of Petersburg, fighting valiantly despite being given little quarter by Confederate troops. Now, let me tell you what that word quarter means. In the military, it means no mercy. It means you basically, if they wound you, they're going to kill you. They're not going to show you no mercy. Okay? And these black people, knowing this, these black men, these black soldiers, that's what a real soldier is. He knows that his life is on the line. And even though they knew that, they still laid their life down for us. Wake up, black people. Wake up, America. I'm J Mac, and I approve that message.
I second it. So we got about 3 minutes, so that's gonna give everybody a little bit of takeaway time. But before we go, I want to say this to black people specifically: stop settling. Challenge yourself. Don't make your self worth measured in food stamps. See, we got real complacent with systems that were put in place actually originally for white people, like the projects and food stamps that black people took advantage of too. And now the white people like Trump, and I hate using these terms, but I have to because this is the history of it. So it's not that I'm being racist or anything. I'm being transparent about how this came to be. Like Black Evie has been saying, and J-Mac has been following up with our importance of black people in the military. So it's transparency. But at the end of the day, we've become dependent and complacent on systems that the government put in place for us. Now, don't get me wrong. If you need the help, go get the help. But don't let that be your only self-worth. Like Dr. Eby said, read, learn, grow. Information is what's going to get you to the next level. And don't be scared to share it. And to follow up with what J-Mac said, an hour is nowhere near enough time to cover what we need to do. A day, a week is not. So this is going to be a series. So we're not going to let just Juneteenth be one day. We're going to do this like maybe every 6 weeks or so. And jam pack in the middle of that will be ways you'll see to adapt and overcome the adversities that you face in real time. Because that's how our subjects go. So that's what's next to our true freedom and education and growth. Thank you for tuning in, and anything you always listen to on Get in the Know, you can go to Get in the Know, GITK.org. Check out that help tab. Go to the contact page, drop us a line. Also, go to the media page to see the videos of things that we've done on the radio because we have a TV show too. Check us out on Alta Fiber and Spectrum. All that stuff is at Get in the Know, GITK.org. Help us keep WAIF on the air too by donating at waifradio.org. Put Get in the Know. It's a show you want to get the credit. And drop us a line, let us know you donated, and we'll send you a trinket. So now I'm going to pass the mic to Black Evie, let her do a 30-second takeaway, and then J-Mac's going to take us out. We'll see you next week, 1 o'clock, Wednesday. Black Evie, you're up.
Right quick, y'all. Just a reflection and a sum up of the show today. The gap between July 4th and June 19th tells the truth about who freedom reached first, who had to wait, and why they had to wait. But it also tells the truth about both holidays and why they matter today. So I just want to leave y'all with that. Black Evie out. See you next week.
You will be too much for some people, too loud, too soft, too this, too that. But you will always be perfect for the people who need you. Be happy, get healthy, free your mind. I'm J Mac, and I approve this message. Peace.
All right.
Man.
How y'all feel about the show, team?
We don't get enough time. We gotta lobby for this cover hour.
Yeah, I feel you.
And I'm happy we getting what we getting, but it's almost like a good song. You don't get into it until almost the end.
Yeah. I honestly think I've also been looking at NPR, that radio station.
Ooh.
NPR is another radio station that's similar to this one. All right, YouTube, Facebook.
Somebody on the thing they like, somebody on that's the phone.
Could be, but my show over with, so I ain't answering nothing. See y'all, YouTube, Facebook. We're out. Stay tuned next week.
I feel great about the show. I didn't get to end.